let's start yapping about this 7,000 word TWID article. What do we have? Tune in for developer live stream. Okay, we are getting one. PvP standalone article we'll get to after this. Heresy content delivery, weapon armor updates, new weapon rewards as old one leaves rotation, game to give, Bungie rewards, and emblems. Okay. Next Tuesday at 10 Pacific, we have the Heresy Act 1 dev live stream. We will be watching along and seeing what they got prepared for Heresy. It looks like there is an emblem out there for the gremlins. Watch at least 15 minutes to get the Scorned Oregon emblem as a Twitch drop. Okay? This 15 minutes on the 28th. Watch their stream for 15 minutes. Not my stream, not anybody else's stream, Bungie's stream. That's how you get it. And then we also have this going right now. This is a new sub, non-prime. This is a gifted sub, not anonymous. You guys already know about that. New PvP and Trials experience. We'll talk about that after, because that was also massive. Content delivery plans for Heresy. We understand your concerns about our return to this approach, but we have learned a lot from the all-in format of Revenant. So in Heresy, we're striking a balance between dropping everything on day one of an act versus meaningful reasons to log in throughout the episode. To that end, we made the vast majority of activities content available on the first day of an act, with said content evolving based on the weekly story. Additionally, each week will feature a seasonal challenge that rewards a new tier of seasonal weapon. Check out the live stream for more information. Without stepping into spoiler territory, I'll also tell you that Heresy won't rely on a fixed length for each act like previous episodes. For example, Act 2 will last 3 weeks instead of the standard 5 or 6. Additionally, all reprised weapons for the episode will be available at launch, while all the second half of episodic weapons will be when Act 2 launches. Okay. So, yeah, they are trying to find some kind of middle ground between episode 1, where things were kind of slow to roll out, and episode 2, where they just batch dropped everything all at once. I actually have a video going live tomorrow. It's another Let's Argue, where I've gotten the take that them dropping everything on day 1 of an act was actually bad. And then I've gotten the take that it was actually great and amazing and I love it. And my answer to that question, spoilers, is basically, I honestly go take it out of the video at this point, is that no one's gonna win. No one wins in this kind of situation, because there's gonna be some people that like one thing, there's gonna be some people that like another thing. There is no right answer to how they should deploy content, right? There's no right answer. So they're trying a different method. I'm open. I personally don't care how they want to deliver the content. I don't care. If you want to drop it all at once, if you want to drop it week over week, to me, it doesn't matter. I'm interested. If anything, I'm more interested in like them pacing out the acts. Like Act 2 will last 3 weeks instead of the full 5 or 6. I'm more interested in this happening, seeing how often they want to deploy this, or if they want to put it all out at the same time, or blah, blah, blah. We'll see how it goes. But again, we know that episodes are not sticking with us for very long. This is the last one. So it's tough to give more feedback when we know that this is not going to be around for a very long time. Exotic armor. We got weapons and armor update for Heresy. Sealed Ahamkara have struggled on Hunter due to the large array of alternate reload options that we already have access to. So what are we doing? Reworked with a weapon swapping focus to differentiate it from other Hunter reload exotic. Powered melee and finisher final blows grant nightmare fuel, increasing handling and airborne effectiveness, while active freshly drawn weapons deal additional damage and grant nightmare fuel on final blows. Gaining nightmare fuel reloads all holstered weapons. Interesting. I was gonna say that this could maybe be some sort of like a boss damage thing, because it's freshly drawn weapons deal additional damage. With something like Envious Arsenal being in the game and like you wanting to rotate through all of your weapons, this could be something, but it requires powered melee and finisher final blows, which you're not really always going to be able to do in some sort of a boss damage situation. But in like other parts of the game where you're just doing like big ad clear or whatever, being able to like rotate through your weapons and doing a lot of Envious Arsenal or auto loading type of weapon rotations, this could be something kind of neat. So depends on how much additional damage, depends on the flow state of how this thing works. But okay, because I mean, Sealed Ahamkara, don't really need them. I forget how to actually say this. It's because it's not Gwisen Vest, something like that. Anyway, now progresses its super returns on super hits as well as kills before becoming invisible. Improve the maximum possible super energy gains per return while also increasing the amount of progress needed for maximum gains. Now also emits a cloud of weakening smoke when you exit invisibility while nearby an enemy. Works both in neutral and while in super. Okay. This thing will only ever be as good as the super is. That's it. And even though it got like a pretty good buff, I still basically see nobody using it because tether is just so insane. So this, I mean, this is literally I literally am forgetting the name of the super. That's how little I use it. Special blades. I literally just said it too. That's the crazy part. It's linked with Spectral Blades. If Spectral Blades is good, this is good. If it's not good, this is not good. End of story. Renewal Grass. Now that Frost Armor has settled in the sandbox, we feel like Renewal Grass can be safely more generous in granting it. Double the rate of Frost Armor gain while in the enhanced Dustfield Grenade. I like this. I think, what was it, last week? They said that they were buffing Frost Armor. So you have now Frost Armor coming in a lot quicker, and the effect is even more potent. So, very good. Love that. Increase the bonus weapon damage duration from 10 to 15 seconds on Foe Tracer. I'm not really using Foe Tracer that much, so I'm off the top of my head, I'm okay with this. Radiant Dance Machines. Okay. Has been reworked to allow multiple dodge charges that it grants to allows real dodges for the purposes of perks. Trigger overall change a large increase in strength and utility. Okay. Improves airborne effectiveness and hip fire mobility, range, and accuracy for primary ammo weapons. Okay. Multi-kills with primary ammo weapons refund dodge energy. When dodge energy is full, multi-kills grant extra charges. Powerful combatants and guardians count as more than one kill. Okay. Think I maybe used Radiant Dance Machines a couple of times when they first came out, and I basically have not touched them since. So I have basically nothing to offer anything in terms of Radiant Dance Machines. I just want to get like an exact... Activating your dodge ability while near targets allows you to dodge additional times for a short period. Defeating targets extends the duration of the additional... Okay, so that's what I thought. Okay, I would need to play around with them, honestly. Spirit of Gjallarhorn. With the ability to regenerate a roamer more quickly than ever, it was quite easy to end up chaining roaming supers back to back. Reduce the maximum amount of energy refunded for Silk Strike and Golden Gun to 30%, down from 50. All right, fine. I mean, I still have basically no good Hunter class items, so I haven't really been able to do a whole... I'm still chasing friggin' Caliban Syntho, I think. So I have not really even used Spirit of Gjallarhorn, but I know it can be quite potent. I know it can be quite potent. And Foe Tracer also gets the effects of Foe Tracer from the buff. Okay. Titans. Dominant in PvP, and they had to nerf it, and it basically made it useless in the rest of the game. Remove several downsides applied by Assault Barricade, which is the perk on the exotic to bring it in line with base Towering Barricade, which is Big Wall on Titan. So they're making it about 25% more effective health-wise for PvE. No longer increases the cooldown, no longer decreases duration. A lot of the stuff happened because of PvP, and now they're trying to save it in PvE. Now we have the new aspect coming in, although I don't remember if the aspect is only on Towering, only on Rally, or if it's on both. I need to go back and double check. I would assume it's on both. It is on both. While behind your barricade. Okay. Does not specify. It is both. Okay. Then maybe we got something going here. Again, I think my only concern is that enemies being taunted towards your barricade means that your barricade is going to go down probably faster than you're used to. Just depends on the content that you're in. But otherwise, looks like no change to how much damage you need to deal in PvP. Although there might be a little more uptime on it. Eternal Warrior. Currently, Arc Final Blows grant an escalating damage bonus with Arc Weapons, gain an overshield when activating Fist of Havoc, and gain the highest tier damage bonus to Arc Weapons when your Fist of Havoc is over. It's okay, it's nothing remarkable. Want it to be an appealing option for both PvP and PvE, building into Fist of Havoc. Final Blows with Fist of Havoc now grant extended super duration. So they're just bringing that perk back. They're just bringing it back from like Arc 2.0 or whatever, and they're putting it on this thing. Honestly, it needed it to give it a little bit of help, because like dedicating a full exotic just to having some sort of a weapon damage bonus to me is just whatever. So now at least this can be an actual Fist of Havoc exotic. So Ursa Furiosa. Move faster while guarding with Sentinel Shield or the Unbreakable Shield. Damage blocked is converted to super energy. Blocking damage with Unbreakable now returns grenade energy instead of super energy. Grenade energy is returned at the end of Unbreakable and is scaled based on the amount of damage that you blocked with it. Our recent changes to Ursa Furiosa to integrate it with the Unbreakable aspect have yet to encourage significant use. We want to lean into further supporting Unbreakable by changing the energy refunded or returned by blocking with Unbreakable to be grenade energy. People probably weren't using Ursa Furiosa with Unbreakable because people are still probably not using Unbreakable. I'm interested to see how it performs in episode 3, but Unbreakable is just not really needed anywhere in the game. It's just, it doesn't do that much to begin with, right? Again, when you have stuff like Consecration and you can solve all of your problems by putting on Syntheseps and just hitting a Consecration, why am I bothering with a little dinky shield, right? That's why you're not seeing any use. It's because Unbreakable, it's a cool ability, it's a neat concept, but it's just not needed. Now, I get that they want Ursa to be more integrated with Unbreakable, so they're giving grenade energy instead of super energy, but like, the super's pretty good. You can make a lot of orbs. So some people might be looking at this as like, oh, dude, I wanted my super energy. Like, what the hell? So they're trying to increase the uptime with Unbreakable. Fine. We will test it in episode 3. We'll see how it goes. But you need to make Unbreakable more effective. And I know it's getting buffed in episode 3. I know. But you need to make Unbreakable actually desirable by the community before you see any use with Ursa Furiosa. That's it. Khepri's Horn is getting a glow up. It will still cause your barricade to emit waves of solar damage, but this update, they have been enhanced significantly. Now it sends out 3 waves of flame instead of just 1. These waves no longer return towards the barricade. They only travel outward once, so you're basically getting 50% increase. Tracking on the waves has been enhanced. Combatants damaged by these waves are enveloped in a sunspot. Players are enveloped if they are defeated. Now requires a solar super to be equipped to create the flame waves from the barricade. Okay, sunspot. I am interested in some Sunspot gameplay. I've always wanted Khepri's Horn to like actually be something kind of decent, and it's like maybe gotten halfway close to kind of decent. Creating a Sunspot could be interesting. Could be very, very interesting. I would love to see how a build like this works. I'm not the most hopeful because I feel like every time they've tried to do something to Khepri's Horn, we've read it and be like, oh, maybe it might be good now, and then it's not. I'm willing to see how it does. Skullfort. As difficulty goes up, Skullfort can feel overly punishing when you fail to land the final blow that its perk demands. Yes, it's why I ultimately prefer point contact cannon brace in higher level content, even though point contact cannon brace in itself is also risky because if you want the maximum damage punches, you have to stand still for like a really long time. And in something like a GM, that's basically impossible. We are extending its effect to grant partial refunds from any melee attack to help rebuild that crucial momentum. Now grants energy to arc melee abilities when hitting targets with any melee attack. Amount granted varies on the melee used. From most to least, powered melees, non-glaive, unpowered melees while knockout is active, and then unpowered melees, including glaives. Yeah, there's, Skullfort versus point contact. I don't really think there's a right answer. I think it's more of just like a play style thing. I personally lean towards point contact. I think it's a nice mix of like getting to use a big ability for a big punch and also some gameplay, whereas Skullfort feels a lot more directed at you're just going to punch everything. You're going to punch everything. You're punch everything. That's not how I like to play. Other people love that kind of stuff. So that's why I lean towards point contact. But part of the reason I use Skullfort is because if you have that one miss, guess what? It's like for the next minute, you basically don't have an exotic. And it creates this weird effect where you want to not spec for any strength whatsoever because your melees are instantly refreshed. But at the same time, if you don't get a melee proc, you want maximum strength so that way you can get your melee back, right? So this does solve a rather significant problem with the exotic. Spirit of the Bear gets some stuff from Ursa Furiosa. Spirit of the Horn, blah, blah, blah. On Thruster, Spirit of the Horn will now emit 4 waves in an X pattern. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. Storm Dancer's Brace. Get you an exact definition. I'm pretty sure these are the robes that basically nobody uses. Storm Dancer's Brace. Each target you defeat with Storm Trance increases the damage you deal with it and refunds super energy when Storm Trance ends. Storm Trance, not that great in endgame content. Or really anything above like mid-tier Mid-tier and above, this thing is like, it's just not that great. Want to tune back how much returned energy was given for roaming supers via exotics. To compensate, we want to give Storm Dancers Bracer a little love, and the potency granted to Storm Trance while you're in a super doubles the damage benefit per stack of ascending amplitude, up to 20 from 10. Also reduces the cost of Ionic Blink during super by 50%. Reduce the maximum amount of energy refunded to 30, down from 50. I don't even really care about this. I care way more about like actually having Storm Trance deal damage. That's its biggest problem. I don't care how much you can roam around with it. The thing doesn't do any damage. So this is the most appealing thing to me, and I'm willing to sacrifice the energy gains, because at the moment, how much energy am I getting back right now? 0%, because I'm not using it, because it's just not good. Geomax Stabilizers, on the other hand, a part of the charm was lost when sprinting to get super was removed because of PvP. Introducing a bolt charge, there was an opportunity to bring this experience back without breaking PvP. Sprinting while near max bolt charge will top it off. Okay, starts at 6 stacks of bolt charge. Increase super energy gained from Ionic Traces to 7% from 2%. I'm excited to bring back the Cold Heart build, man. Ionic Trace Cold Heart, that's kind of nuts. Bolt charge, Cold Heart, Ionic Trace, blinding spam. You want to talk about glass cannon? That's a glass cannon build, brother. Okay, we're talking now. Secant filaments. They secant all right. While using a Void Super, casting Empowering Rift will grant you Devour. Damage dealt by you and your allies within your Empowering Rift will disrupt combatants. Now gives class ability energy per kill while Devour is active. Ever since anti-champion capabilities were expanded to work with elemental verbs inherently, secant filaments have felt like an exotic lost to the flow of time. Giving it a satisfying loot felt a nice way to give the perk some love for both the base exotic and its spirit counterpart. Well, essentially, you're going to be able to have your Rift back very, very often to grant yourself Devour, which is nice because Devour is one of the best buffs in the game. The problem is that Devour is just inherently not that difficult to get in general, like especially on Void. So this is more, I feel like a little bit more of a prismatic play, potentially. It's even easier to get on prismatic. Yeah, just like Devour is it's just so easy to get already. You know what I mean? But I mean, if we look at the Warlock, my main Warlock setup is Feed the Void and Child of the Old Gods. If we took something else, if we took like Chaos Accelerant, charging up your grenade, because I think that's getting a buff as well, right? Or maybe it's just the gloves. I forget which one, but I know handheld grenades are getting something, right? I think it's like more projectiles, but they do less damage, but it's still an overall gain, right? So maybe now you can roll with that, and you can just have your Devour come through secant filaments instead. Handheld Supernova specifically, not the others. Okay, just Magnetic Grenade. Okay. Either way, this gives it like way more uptime, which is good. But I think you need to be okay with going with this instead of just getting Devour inherently. We will see. Speaker Sight, aka the Healing Helmet, allowed Warlocks to earn a massive amount of ability energy via the healing turret, even if you are at full health. Should be rooted in the actual healing, so we're making a change to how the healing turret selects its targets. No longer targets allies at full health. Allies need some damage done to their shields to be eligible targets. Caught. Fair. Totally fair. Verity's Brow, the grenade helmet, death throws. Probably one of a few exotics in the game that is like actually like the usefulness and strength of it compared to its fashionability, like probably one of the greatest ratios in the game. Right? Like pretty good exotic, all things considered. How do you make it look good? So that's honestly part of the reason why I think people don't use it, is because it doesn't look that good with people's fashion. This thing needs an ornament so badly. A buff is quite potent, but it's easy to let it run out and lose all your grenade benefits. We have updated this exotic to bring in line with how the similar Word God Caress works. Okay, stacks are now represented by a meter that decays backwards through each tier rather than falling off entirely when the duration elapses. Okay, so it stays at X5 for 4 seconds, X4 for 5, and 6, 7, so okay. So the higher it is, the faster it's going to fall off, but the lower it is, the slower it'll fall off. When one tier, buff will downgrade to the next lowest tier. Yep. A bonus grenade recharge per tier, 2.5% per second at X5. Okay. Obviously, like, I mean, stack of death throws for 11 seconds. It already lasted so long, which makes me feel like it really wasn't that bad to keep up. I don't know. In terms of like consistency, it's a lot better, but man, I don't think you're going to hit as higher highs potentially, but it definitely makes it a more consistent experience overall. Yeah. All right, we'll see. Because I'm not really using Worm God Caress that much right now. I know a lot of people, or at least, a little while ago, were using it for some Strand Titan shenaniganery. On top of this, we are also giving some more of the base exotic to the Spirit version to help players build into grenades on provides 50%. Okay, fine. All right. Because, Warlock exotic class items, like, there's what? Maybe 2 or 3 that are, like, even decent compared to what we have right now. So, weapons. Oh boy, if this is gonna be a lot of like PvP focused stuff, I might just kind of skip over. There you go. PvE damage tuning. Let's see this. Aim assist. Various aim systems are a foundational part of what makes Destiny's guns feel like they do, but they do not come with some edge cases, or do not come without some edge cases. When using controller, we're taking a stab at trying to solve an issue where a quickly moving target across your vision could pull your aim off of your previous target by introducing a time-based component. We now weight aim assist against targets you've aimed at for a short time more strongly compared to brand new targets when a new target is introduced by crossing your reticle. Okay. Wide-reaching change, but we've been satisfied with the play tests. So controller players, okay, so they're trying to make it so you're not getting completely pulled off of your target. Trying to help controller players actually stick on target. So like conceptually and on paper, this sounds neat. In practice, we'll have to see. PvE damage tuning. Tuned up some low-performing weapon families in PvE to bring the competition a bit closer. Scouts. 15% versus minors, 30% versus majors. Honestly, I don't think you could do enough to scout rifles right now. I think you could potentially even do more for scout rifles, but fine, take it. Auto rifles, 10% versus minors and majors. I didn't even think auto rifles were that bad, but not many people are going to say no to a free auto rifle. I kind of thought like SMGs were going to get more of a buff because SMGs just kind of feel like, eh. Increase base magazine size by 10 to 15 based on the mag stat. Okay, that might help it as well a little bit. Yeah, I feel like this would have gone here and this would have gone up here, but okay. Auto's underpowered. All right, okay. All right. Trace rifles, 20% versus minors. Okay, I'm into this. And linears, getting a 10% buff versus all combatants. Okay, maybe we see some linears come back to some endgame stuff. Endgame math to be done. Love all these. Trace rifles needed it for sure. Linears, like, they're still good, but, falling behind a little bit. Scouts needed it pretty bad. Autos, I guess, needed this pretty badly. I didn't think they were that bad. But okay, linears. Shaking up maybe the power weapon meta. Oh my god, more glaives. Okay. Hard to break into mainstream usage. Applying a sweeping buff to baseline stats and behaviors to remove some of their unwieldiness and make them more attractive. More agile, need to reload less often, effective at longer ranges, more forgiving, more impactful when doing their melee combo. Wow, they're just still going off. Increased aim assist, magnetism, damage fall off ranges across the board. Glaive projectile hit registration improved. Increase baseline stats at all stat values for handling speeds, including shield ready speed, draw, and stow speed. Magazine size. I actually love this. Projectile speed, reload speed, love that as well. Reloading these things was agony. Final hit of the melee combo deals double damage, inflicts much more flinch on PvE combatant. Whoo! The 14 people who are actually good at using glaives are eating right now, but wow. Wowie, wowie, wowie. Hey, barkeep, another round of glaive for everybody. Okay, I'm willing to try it again. Aggressive frame fusion rifles. Only one aggressive frame exists in the game. Coriolis Force, issued back in Beyond Light. And do you know why nobody used Coriolis Force? It's because it had a horizontal set of bolts come out, as opposed to your shot going vertically with a fusion rifle. Because most targets are taller than they are wide, right? Cool idea, just in practice. At the time, this is Beyond Light, where like fusions barely had anything even going for them in the first place. It actually had One for All, which, back then was, even still to this day is an incredibly strong perk, but everything else on this thing is just so whatever. So like not really that much going for it. Fired its pellets all at once, so its recoil felt shotgun-like. I want to stay true to the fusion rifle performance, okay. These shots suffer from damage fall-off much less than conventional fusions. To compensate for their widespread angle, let the player fire into packs of PvE enemies to still score multiple kills. That's another thing, too. That's actually a great point, is the enemy density in the game nowadays would probably allow something like this to succeed a little bit more than it did in the past. You're not gonna have to get Coriolis Force if you want to try out these changes. New reworked aggressive frames with new perk rules are coming in this episode. Now fire 3 bursts of 4 pellets in increasingly wide spreads. Increase minimum damage when fully outside. Okay. Range fall off. Increase range fall off. Increase damage versus miners and mages by 15% relative to normal fusions. Very, very interesting. Want to stay true. Control your burst so we convert it to fire multiple bursts of pellets. Kind of like a Bastion situation. Interesting. Okay. I mean, Bastion like has its moments here and there where it can be. I mean, like it deals pretty good damage, right? So it does seem like they're maybe going in the direction of trying to make legendary Bastion, essentially. I'm open to new ideas. I'm open to new frames and new concepts, you know. I'm open to it. Support frame autos. They want to add more in the future. Their range stat is not desirable because of their unique projectile properties. A range now increases how far away you can heal other guardians. Okay, cool. I used no hesitation for the raid, for Salvation's Edge, the second encounter contest mode, and it like support frames actually pop off. They do a lot of healing. It's just you don't ever really need it that much, and using a support frame auto to actually kill things is kind of a slog. But 10% buff to autos, maybe now not as much of a slog. Maybe we see these a little bit more. The healing's crazy on them, man. The healing is berserk on this thing. It's really good. Rocket assisted frame sidearms. Oh boy. Oh boy. Particularly potent while being easy to use. We reduce reserves to bring up the uptime closer to other specials. We're moving these in a more defined niche, keeping them potent within that niche, but being a bit less universally useful in all situations, which I can accept. They should remain a viable, ammo-efficient option for clearing minor, major, and champion tier targets with direct hits without also being great at killing everything nearby the primary target. Reduced PvE detonation damage by almost half. Increased impact damage by 100%. Reduced aim assist fall off and maximum distance by 8 meters. Magnetism fall off at 8 meters. Reduced damage by 30% versus boss vehicle and mini boss targets. Buried Bloodline's body shot damage is unaffected. Critical hit damage is buffed by 8%. A range stat was vestigial to the weapon subfamily, so we removed it. Stop making up words, Bungie, okay? We get it. You took the SATs, okay? We all had the flashcards. Range masterworks and enhanced intrinsic will be replaced with something more appropriate. Fine. So they want this to be hard hitting on a single target as opposed to mostly hard hitting on like a lot of targets. Okay. Something was going to happen to these things eventually. So I'm glad to see them not completely decimated, but I am also interested to see how good of a single target weapon they will still be. Obviously, you're probably not going to be using them against bosses anymore. Not that you really were. You kind of using them like probably to cycle a bait and switch or something. But they were like not that terrible boss damage when you ran out of power. So that's a pretty big one. That's a pretty big one. All right. Something was going to happen to these things eventually. Something was going to happen to these things eventually. Buried Bloodline still looks like it's going to be great. I mean, Buried Bloodline right now is still a fantastic weapon. Absolutely fantastic weapon. Maybe you start to see more people skew towards Buried Bloodline instead of the legendaries. We'll see. I think they'll be okay. Exotic weapons. Lawrence Driver was once a terror in the Crucible, also a terror in PvE. This thing was great. Has since caught a number of changes to its efficacy. Struggled to compete. Picking up a bounty tag now grants 1 ammo to the mag. Just 1. Triggering Lagrangian sight, by picking up a bounty tag adds 6 ammo to the mag the first time you trigger it, returns to adding 1 ammo per tag on extensions while the buff remains active. Let's get a rules clarification for those at home who forget what this thing does. This weapon marks targets with an automated targeting system. Final blows on marked targets generate a telemetry pattern, collecting 3 patterns without dying. Grants this weapon bonus damage for a long duration. Precision final blow creates an explosion that pulls in. Yeah, you know that part. They want to keep the uptime a little bit higher. Its damage is not bad. And assuming linears, exotic linears are also getting this, maybe you see the old driver come back. Delicate Tomb, the ARC fusion rifle, released, I want to say about a year ago. Increase the chance to make an ionic trace from minor combatants from 4 to 10%. Okay. PvE damage bonus on the Tempest Cascade shot from 30 to 100%. Holy. Remove the timer from Tempest Cascade. Lasts until fired. Collecting an ionic trace overcharges this weapon's next shot, jolting targets on hit. And now that's no timer, and it's 100%. And they more than doubled the chance to make ionic traces. Wow. Okay. Delicate Tomb versus Cold Heart. We'll see. I've always liked Delicate Tomb as like a fusion rifle, but it's just never... It's never gotten there for me. That's pretty interesting, especially with all the other Arc stuff mentioned with the exotics, with Arc Warlocks. Sorry. DARCI. There's a very brief time where DARCI was goated, and that was Eater of Worlds, the raid layer for Leviathan. It was goated back then. It's been several years. Added a new catalyst perk, networked targeting. Hits with personal assistant active. So you aim down sights for a little bit and then it activates. I think you have to hit a shot as well on a target. Grant you and nearby allies improved overall weapon performance and precision damage with non-exotic snipers. So DARCI is now Gjallarhorn for snipers. Improved recoil, flinch, target acquisition, handling, and precision damage. Stacks up to 5x. DARCI also gets this. DARCI user also gets plus 15% damage after granting 5 stacks to a teammate. So this is the Gjallarhorn sniper now. Got to do some tests. What's going to be better? DARCI with a bunch of legendaries or just everyone on some whispers? Because whisper is still pretty cracked. But this will be fun to test. This will be fun to test. Do I have a DARCI currently in the vault? I got all my exotics in the vault. DARCI. Enemies defeated, 293. Okay. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. All the glaives, the class glaives, felt a bit clunky since their addition to the game. We made some changes here along with the global changes to smooth over gameplay. Okay. I do like the Hunter glaive, exotic glaive. The others, a special shot is no longer tied to glaive energy, now triggered on 6 weapon hits to allow the special reload. Effects of jolting feedback added to the intrinsic perk. Destabilizing rounds added to the intrinsic perk. Incandescent added to intrinsic perk. Added cure pulse to special shot impact. Healing target no longer. Okay, so same thing as the helmet. Okay. Yeah, I mean the special shot, the wave shot that concurrence did. It's kind of meaty. And all the glaive buffs. Okay. Centrifuge. Increased mag size to 45. Okay. I mean, still wasn't really using it that much. I don't know how much this is really going to push the needle. How many does it have right now? It has 37. So 37 to 45 to allow you a little more time for the capacitor. Centrifuge kind of underrated. I think I would give you that. I would give you slightly underrated, but I feel like mostly rated. Dad Messenger Hardlight Borealis, aka the fundamentals. This was very important. I wouldn't say very important, but it was more important back when we had match game. During an older time, during an older era of the game. This thing is like really not that important right now. A new effect grants a 30% damage buff, 10% PvP to this weapon in 10 seconds when you apply or receive an elemental keyword that matches the currently selected damage type of the weapon. No longer grants different stats based on... Okay, fine. Borealis only increased stability by 20, aim assist by 10 to give it... To permanently grant it the void element bonus that it will no longer have since Borealis is a sleeper pick in PvP. Bonus was selected over Arc since there are more ways to gain handling. Okay. When you apply or receive an elemental keyword that matches the currently selected. So I kind of feel like you would want to treat this almost like a harmony, right? Because this is sort of, it's harmony adjacent, right? Because harmony is where I think you get a kill with another weapon. If you switch to the weapon with harmony, it gets like a 20% damage buff for a little bit of time. This is harmony except applying elemental stuff. Okay. Kind of plays a little bit more to, I mean, you know, Dead Messenger and Borealis a little bit. Hardlight, maybe not as much, because you got to have something else to apply the thing, but usually your primary is the thing that apply. Okay. All right. Telesto. Oh, God. Solid weapon. Lacks solid high point. A solid high point in its power. Fantasy does not interface with build crafting much. No, it does not. A unique dual identity as a weapon associated with Awoken Harbingers in universe and associated with a storied history of bugs. We give it a buff that embraces both aspects and ties them together in a single package. How do you buff Telesto? Make it more Telesto. Harbinger's Pulse now only refills Telesto's animals from reserve instead of Telesto and your kinetic slot weapon. Now triggers with any final blow. Let me just bring this up. Exact definitions. Multi-kills with this weapon immediately reload your equipped kinetic and energy weapons from reserves, in case you forgot that, like I did. Final blow requirement increased from 2 to 3. However, Telesto final blows count double. Will trigger from 2 Telesto final blows, 1 Telesto final blow plus another void final blow, or 3 void final blows. Multi-kill timer increased to compensate. New perk, Harbinger Seethe. After 3 activations of Pulse, special reload the weapon to cause a rain of Telesto projectiles on your next target hit. Okay. It sounds funny. It's just going to depend on how much damage it does. And if it breaks the game somehow. Yeah, it's completely dependent on how much damage. Vexcalibur. Triggering Perpetual Loophole. Let me bring up Vexcalibur here. Deal additional melee damage while protected by an overshield. Defeating targets with melee final blows while the overshield is active will refresh it. Now also fills your glaive energy to full. Slightly increased void overshield trickle on rate to nearby allies and yourself when guarding. Potency of Vexcalibur's secret innate advantages against the Vex. Secret bonus damage when striking with its projectiles against certain damage up from 10 to 25% to match Wish Ender and Malfeasance. Vexcalibur now briefly disorients non-boss Vex with its melee attack. Holy, okay. Well, it's juicy against Vex. This, I think, is what a lot of people are going to be looking at, though, filling your glaive energy to full. Kind of the big part, but okay. Again, as a non-glaive person, kind of tough to evaluate, but I know, hey, blocking with a glaive is, you're almost like completely immune. Wardcliff Coil is either the most goated weapon or the most trash weapon, depending on the kind of enemy you're fighting and if they're classified as a vehicle or not. Grants 1 stack of bolt charge to all nearby allies for every, 2 rockets fired, 4 stacks per trigger pull. I think I would have preferred something, I mean, like, this is cool, but I also want Wardcliff to feel like it's actually more effective as a weapon. I don't care what kind of things you give it. You got to make this thing like worth it in the first place. But I guess we'll see. We'll see about that. Queenbreaker. To be able to special reload to swap between the scopes while in game. Added that functionality along with some other changes to make each scope firing mode feel unique. Unique New York. Players can special reload at any time to swap between the scopes. Love that. Marksman retains the previous behavior that chains and blinds. I actually, if you guys recall, I think one of my first clears ever, or the first clear that I did of Onslaught when it first came out, I was on Queenbreaker. Specifically for the chain blind. Combat Sights now alters the weapons to fire a 3-round burst at 533 charge time, so pretty fast. Sustained damage on a target decreases the charge time of the weapon down to 300 charge time with no loss to damage. Useful for quickly dealing boss damage to bosses or other high health targets. The scope that you select in the inspection screen will determine which scope is active by default when spawning into an activity. Okay. And again, it's a linear. They're getting 10% buff. I'm just saying, this is another thing to test. This is another thing that we have to test. This will be interesting. That'll be very, very interesting. The Colony. Previous changes to the Colony did some interesting things, but still ends up losing out to other grenade launchers due to its base gameplay and proximity detonation behavior. Increased detonation damage by 40%. Puts its damage per shot a little above legendary drum grenade launchers. Increased the number of bots spawned by 1 for all enemy tiers except players. Okay. I mean, that was honestly the biggest thing with the Colony. It's not that hard to hit a GL shot. The Colony is like a neat novelty, but it's something I'm never going to use if the damage doesn't keep up. So I'm more than okay with this. This thing has basically been the most relevant the Colony has been in the past like 5 years was the fact that if you had a bugged enemy during the second encounter of Root of Nightmares, you could use the Colony to like kill the enemy and get on, and so you didn't soft lock the activity. That's the biggest thing the Colony has been used for in the past 5 years. Quicksilver. The previous changes to this weapon were a little much, and we've rolled it back a little bit. Reduced shots required to trigger a rocket by 17%. So I think correct me if I'm wrong, you might still be able to get 3 rockets in a single magazine. I'm not sure. But if you can't right now, I would imagine that this would enable you to get 3 rockets in a single magazine. I kind of went to Kvostov after that thing came out. You got to be like 95 to 100% accurate. Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, I know you can, but I know it's also really hard. So this will make that experience a little more consistent. Acreus, okay? With the shotgun changes doing well in the last release, we want to give this a bit of love in that same theme. Reduced spread angle by 33%, increased maximum projectile range from 12 to 8 meters. Okay. Acurius is just a victim of what it is. It's either insane or ass with like little in between. So I'm cool with this. Fourth Horseman, niche weapon. Made it changes to help it excel at its mag dump weapon fantasy. Reduce the rate of fire slightly to give more control over wasting shots, because this thing would just go straight up. Loads ammo from reserves to the magazine per kill. Okay. I don't really know how much I love this, because like I think of this as just I'm gonna dump onto a target. So I guess maybe if you get like a kill on that target at the end of the magazine, you get some ammo back, but you gotta be really good at like getting off the trigger so you don't waste some ammo. Okay. Lord of Wolves. This thing, God, I remember this thing in Last Wish. There's a clip of us like one cycling collie 100 to 0 with Lord of Wolves. This thing in PvE used to go insane. And then it had its like whole insane PvP arc. It went nuts. This thing was crazy. With the release and success of Quad 1, we've taken a similar approach to redesigning this iconic weapon. Increase range, reduce base damage, remove accuracy penalties from the standard fire mode. Release of Wolves now trigger on hip fire instead of special reload. Fires full auto, greatly increased damage and rate of fire. But catalyst, reload speed, and stability boost are now built in. When Release of Wolves is active, dealing damage to targets scorches them. When ADS, defeating targets spreads scorch to nearby combatants. Okay, so it's got like a built-in incandescent kind of a situation. Pretty substantial kind of reworking of this weapon. I don't really want to say too much on it until I get to kind of play around with it and see what the damage is like. But I would love Lord of Wolves to be fun again in PvE, because they kind of nuked it and I haven't really seen it since. Cloud Strike. Bolt charge, creating a devastating lightning bolt, seemed appropriate to interweave that with Cloud Strike's gameplay loop. Added behavior to Stormbringer. Rapid precision hits create a lightning storm at the point of impact and grants a static bolt charge. Precision final blows generate a lightning bolt and grants a moderate amount of bolt charge. Okay. The only abilities are the only way to discharge max stacks unless you're behind a striker's barricade. This change to allow for Cloud Strike to quickly build stacks, which can help bring back your melee abilities faster or cash in quickly with an extra bolt charge lightning attack when paired with Storm's Keep. Okay. As we talked about last week, Cloud Strike combined with bolt charge seems like it could be pretty neat. A lot of lightning strikes, all that kind of stuff. We'll see how it goes. Some testing needing to be done. Thunder Lord. Gotta give this some stuff with bolt charge as well. Thunder Lord, already pretty good weapon. I know there's a lot of people who get annoyed that people use Thunder Lord in like boss damage situations. Still a good weapon. I don't care what you say. Still very good. Final blows with this weapon generate lightning strikes from above. Lightning strikes grant a stack of bolt charge. Strong against overload champions. Okay. So it's great to build stacks, build some melee energy, and you get some bolt charge with it as well. Honestly, like buff-wise, did Thunderlord even really need this? I don't think so, but it's great flavor for it. And like, how could you not, right? You can't come out with a thing like Bolt Charge and not give it to Cloud Strike and Thunderlord, right? You just couldn't. Weapon perks, destabilizing rounds. Been a bit behind. It's Elemental Brethren for forever. Now grants volatile rounds for 2 seconds. If any targets are hit by the volatile burst from the initial final blow, I'm listening. Reduced internal cooldown from 4 to 1.5 seconds. Holy cow, is destabilizing rounds actually on the menu now? Woo-wee! That might be something. Okay. I will finally craft my ancient gospel. I will now finally start looking at my destabilizing round weapon, okay? Maybe now it's time to actually treat this thing with some respect. Now maybe it's time. Very, very good stuff. Full Court, added support for Full Court on area denial GLs. Now scales the detonation and burn damage of area denial grenade launchers. Okay. Full Court's what, 25% at maximum distance? Let me just double check the numbers here. Full Court reaches maximum strength after 1.1 seconds at 25%. Increases detonation damage as the projectile travels further before exploding, 25%. Now, I know attrition orbs, kind of the perk du jour on these area denials, so we'll see where Full Court fits in, but makes some sense potentially as just kind of like a special ammo using thing. On DPS weapons, I would absolutely take bait and switch over Full Court, but on something like a area denial where you're just kind of jumping around like a dope, it's a little free damage. Just depends on what else is available on the weapon. Ambitious Assassin. Remove time requirements on the perk to make it more comparable to Envious, as this perk requires you to use ammo for the weapons this perk is on. Remove both multi-kill and reload timers. Okay. Flash counter. Is anyone using flash counter? Who is using flash counter? Had a restrictive timing input and narrow activation condition that made it very difficult to consistently benefit from. Muddied our elemental rules by applying a weaken and slow off of the void element and stasis element. Rework to read. Taking damage after guarding emits a disorienting blast. No longer requires a timed input or melee to trigger. Deals moderate damage in a large cone in front of you, disorienting combatants. Okay. Sword users? Maybe? I don't know. I mean, 99.9% of people are just using Relentless Strikes, Whirlwind Blade. Okay. So someone else will mess around with this and be like, flash counter actually goated on swords now? With a thumbnail that's just like a sword and then the icon of flash counter with a red circle, arrow pointed. Goat? Question mark? I already got it. Okay, what do we have here? Weapons coming to our ritual activities. We have a legend with a renewed spark, the remaining element for the legendary rocket sidearms, and also a sword that's neither a blade nor from Redrix's arsenal. Lotus Eater, void rocket sidearm. What can we get in this thing? Strategist, feeding frenzy, well-rounded, shoot to loot, beacon rounds, reconstruction, one for all, blank, high ground, reverb, frenzy, adrenaline, junkie. Okay. Warframe mentioned. Let's go. Oh, Lotus Eater. That does sound like a Warframe-esque type of weapon. Okay. You got some options here. I know some people have been messing around with strategists on some stuff recently, but you know I love a one for all. You know I love a one for all. The Palindrome Arc Adaptive Hand Cannon. Interesting that they went with Arc. Closing Time. Elemental Capacitor. Explosive Payload. Blank. Outlaw to the Pain. A little underwhelmed there. Slight bit. Fourth column, Magnificent Howl. Snapshot, Master of Arms, Opening Shot, Blank, and Desperate Measures. It seems a bit more PvP oriented. I guess it depends on what these redacted perks are. There's a lot of PvP stuff on here. Closing Time, Elemental Capacitor, To the Pain. I mean, Explosive Payload and Outlaw so far the only PvE things I'd be interested in. Magnificent Howl, you got Snap, you got Opening. I mean, sure, Desperate Measures is okay. Master of Arms, PvE, you'd probably do like an EP Master of Arms kind of a situation, which is just like, it's fine. It's just not that like exciting. It's not that exciting. So got to see what these redacted perks are before I come to any conclusions. Strand Aggressive Rocket Launcher. Could use one. I think we only have 2 in the game, and then one of them only comes from a yearly activity or yearly event that comes in. It's from Vanguard. Oh my god, this thing is... Okay, Recon, Envious Arsenal, Slice Demo, Field Prep, Tracking, Sympathetic Arsenal, Impulse Amplifier, Ambitious, Discord. Discord? D2 team commented on my Reddit post saying Discord won't be on the rocket. What? Clown cartridge instead? Bro. We made an update to the tweet correcting rocket launcher perk listing. Discord was updated to the correct perk, clown cartridge. Sorry for the confusion. Dude. I mean, if you think about it, Discord on a rocket is just probably completely unacceptable. Fourth column, chain reaction, explosive light, blank, tripod, cluster, quick draw, lasting, adrenaline, reverb, desperate measures, high ground, hatchling. Okay, so no bait and switch on this thing. No bait and switch on this thing. You got explosive light. That's kind of like a second place bipod, kind of a second place situation. Maybe lasting impression, but I think we've kind of moved on from lasting impression and then a redacted perk. Arc Rapid Fire Glaive. All right, this is from Gib. I think we're just going to quickly go. This just looks like every glaive perk that's ever been implemented into the game on a glaive. You got Voltron here, Adagio, Replenishing, Impulse, Immovable, Tilting. Some new perks as well. Okay. Void Heavy Burst Pulse Rifle. Just what we needed. Another Void Pulse Rifle with a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, if you don't have an Elsie's rifle by now, I guess you can go get this. I'll look at my Elsie's real quick. Although I guess it's Heavy Burst and Elsie's a High Impact. Okay. Okay. So you're looking more like a Nullify situation in that case. Closing Time demo. Dragonfly. You got Repulsor brace. You got Destabilizing. So basically, you're looking at like a Nullify sort of a situation with this thing. If you want to do Repulsor, Destabilizing. Withering Gaze. You got Headseeker. Not sure how the math works out on Headseeker on heavy bursts. But, I mean, it looks like you got a lot of the good stuff here as well. But yeah, Withering Gaze. Get you an exact definition for those not up to date. Aiming this weapon for a short time without firing grants the ability to weaken the next target. Timer resets after firing or when you stop aiming down sights. More weapons leaving soon. Undercurrent, The Prophet, Reese Walker, Lethal Abundance. Get them while you can. Game to Give, we've already talked about. Dark Hero Emblem, I think this is $25. You got your emo, you got your Sparrow, you got all the emblems you can go get. A new emblem for anyone who raises $500 is a fundraiser during the campaign. You have your lifetime emblem. So if you've donated $250, you will get the Covalence emblem. If you've donated $777, you get the Vanderwall Force. $1,500. I was right, $1,500 above and beyond. And I'll have some more information on this in a video coming up. Los Angeles Wildfires. I'll know someone to invite you to, okay. 2 nonprofits who are dedicating themselves to meet both the long-term needs and short-term needs of LA. Launching exclusive shirt and emblem for Game to Give on the campaign page, available for pre-order today. It's a nice looking shirt, man. I'll give it to him. Because it's a pre-order, we don't know the exact profit per order due to committing to a minimum donation of $15 per order split between, okay. The bundle will be available for $50, including shirt, emblem, and flat rate shipping worldwide. Available for pre-order through the 9th. Shipping details once we have them. So what, you're paying $25 for the shirt, $25 for the emblem, something like that? It's a par for the course, right? Because this emblem up here is also $25. So, nice looking shirt. The latest Bungie rewards. Okay. Scorgan. Apparently, I've won this because I helped Dre. Well, I'm not. Oh, there you are. I helped Dre with transcribing some sheet music. Artist of the Week, new emblem. Movie of the Week, new emblem. And that's all we got. And that's all we got. Holy cow, that was a lot of yapping. Okay. We are going to take a look at the trial stuff. We love this. Hooray. Yippee. Yippee. So essentially what's happening with trials, the big thing is that they are moving away from the concept of going flawless and moving towards just getting wins on your card. That's the main thing that they're doing. There are still going to be like win streak rewards and like pseudo flawless rewards. You know, they have like a bunch of like win streak related concepts. Like let me find the chart here. Yeah. So longest weekly win streak, you get certain rewards based on how many wins you get in a row. But there's a new passage that I think is just get 7 wins and you get to go to the lighthouse. And that's it. The Lighthouse Passage. The experience is like what players currently get when they're playing on Mercy, blah, blah, blah. Move trials away from a flawless or bust system to get 7 wins on a card plus longest win streak system. Lighthouse for everyone, but much better rewards for longer win streaks. So you still are encouraged to win. The rewards you get for going on longer win streaks are much better. But if you just get 7 wins, you go to the friggin' lighthouse. They're trying to push that a lot more because they have this system that's in game right now, which is what killed one of my favorite games of all time, Natural Selection 2, where the more, like, how to describe this? The high skill people are just beating up on the low skill people. So the low skill people don't want to play anymore. So the band of the skill range gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you just have this like elite level of groups just stomping over anyone who comes in, and then nobody wants to play anymore because of this group up here, right? Rest in peace, Natural Selection 2. It's still alive, but not a lot of people playing it. Had the same problem. So they're trying to get more people into the playlist. Some fun information that they posted here was Iron Banner. In the last 48 months, Trials has had more than 20% daily participation only 18 times, which is the exact same number of days that Iron Banner had less than 20% participation. The worst performing Iron Banner we had during that period still had almost identical participation to the best performing Trials runs over the same period. So Iron Banner at its worst was still as good as Trials at its best. I found that very funny, which I honestly, what this piece of information did for me was show that people play a lot of freaking Iron Banner, man. You guys are literally playing some Banner after this, like unironically playing some Banner. I really did not realize how much people were playing some Iron Banner. Because many average and below average skill players do not participate in the current version of Trials due to the perception that flawless is impossible and the experience will be negative. This leads to a baseline skill increase that makes Trials 10 to 15% harder than normal PvP and perpetuates the cycle. Yeah. So as lower skill people get out of the matchmaking, you're just left with this top end, and that makes it not very fun for people who want to go in and try. They're also doing some stuff to make some of these other rewards a bit more predictable to earn. For example, the sparrow and the ship, instead of them, I think, just dropping randomly, it's going to work on some kind of a point system where as you're playing, you're gaining points towards progression, towards getting one of these drops. They also have new armor. I think the Titan one looks sick. I mean, look at the Titan, man. Look at this Titan. I think they all look great, but the Titan is popping. So new armor sets will not be able to be earned from engrams until they have unlocked, either via challenges or lighthouse chest rewards. Yeah, and there's a bunch of things up here. A lot of like, here's how all these things are calculated, and here's all the different rewards and stuff. But essentially, you have this chart right here. If you go on a bigger win streak, you have more chances for rewards at the end of games. So you go on like a 4-win streak, now your games have a 50% chance of dropping an adept weapon. 5 wins, you get more vehicle progress and emblem progress. And then if you got a flawless passage, you have a chance of getting trials armor. So the longer streak you go on, the more chance you have at rewards. The smaller your win percentage, win streak, if you only get 1 win in a row, 40% chance to get a prism, 15 per shard, 13 for a cipher, 25% for a trials engram. You kind of get it. Win more in a row, your rewards are better, is the short of it. New cosmetics. So here's your new emblem. We got some new weapons. Even I think they said this sniper was potentially something for PvE. Yeah, they were talking about, Discord. You got Discord incandescent on this thing. It also has triple tap 4th times the charm on it, which could potentially be something interesting now combined with DARCI. So I think people are looking into that. You got Exalted Truth, destabilizing the repulsor brace, but also destabilizing in the left column. So you can do destabilizing 1 for all kind of a situation if you want to go that way. Got some options for PvE as well. A slug shotgun with the Inquisitor. Pinnacle challenges, they're changing up how much reputation you get. Base rewards are getting changed around. They're also changing up Dominion, so the zone spawns a little bit later and it takes longer to capture. Ammo also spawns a little bit later. They also talked about Fireteam matchmaking, where they said if they were to remove Fireteam matchmaking and revert to freelance weekends, it would not increase the number of trios or improve their experience. It would just decrease the number of solos playing in most weeks. One interesting bit of information that I saw here was that they have some lost forgiveness. Yes. Okay. We will allow duos to match trios right off the bat in trials and competitive. This will continue to allow duos to play with 3v3s without making it feel like an advantage, so they can avoid trios. Not enabled this in the past because the solo player that gets brought in, it feels bad for them. To help with this friction, we'll be setting it up so that any solo player that gets matched against a larger fire team in either trials or competitive will be granted loss forgiveness for the match on the condition that 1, they don't quit. Number 2, they don't go AFK. Number 3, you don't intentionally throw the game. Doing any of these will still result in a loss and potentially matchmaking restriction depending on the severity and number of occurrences. So they're trying to make it less annoying to be a solo and go up against other teams, which I'm willing to see how it goes, right? In other games where the teams are a lot bigger, you're looking at your rivals, your Overwatch, your blah, 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 blah. I can understand why they maybe don't do something like this, but when it's 3v3, whatever they got to do to try to beef up trials. How will they know a thrower? I'm guessing they have some sort of stats thing that they're going to be looking at to determine, how much you participated and how much you engaged. And I mean, obviously going AFK would give you a loss. Quitting gives you a loss. Intentionally throw, I'm guessing you get no kills and you're probably not trying to kill other people. You're just walking out and not dealing any damage. They got ways to kind of track, your participation in PvP modes. Skill rework and player score stat, a lot of huge changes here as well. Let's see. 3 main changes we're making the way the skill is tracked. Make objectives on par with base kills for points. Objectives are either not tracked towards skill at all or with fractions of what kills are worth. So people who slay out but ignore the objective can climb higher, but people who play the objective don't. So they're trying to make objectives worth a little bit more. Kills are still really important, but not all kills are equal. Removing multiple farming points like damage dealt, revives, longest kill streak. So they're trying to balance that out a little bit more. Points rework for competitive. Yeah, just a lot of stuff that I think a lot of people watching the channel probably don't care about that much. Second ever PR-55 frame pulse rifle, Redrix's S-Talk, aka a BR kind of a situation. I'll let you look at the perks right here. They got a new emblem, I think multiple emblems, increasing the maximum rank cap from 10,000 to 15,000. So if you're at max rank, you can climb to Ascendant 0. Yeah, point is new emblems for emblem gremlins to go get. Yeah, still a lot, even more. If you really are a PvP person, you've probably already seen a lot of this information. I'll link it in the description if you want to go read it. Yeah, still more. So I think we'll call it there. I've seen good feedback overall about what's happening with Trials, with Crucible, all that kind of stuff. It's funny, I did another Let's Argue call out for some hot takes, and one person said, like, Bungie should probably just remove PvP altogether. It's been a fun experiment, but I think it's to the detriment of the PvE experience. And I was like, ooh, who wants to tell him? Who wants to tell him? Because this article had dropped like a few minutes before. So yeah, I'm interested. Dare I say I maybe even enter the Trials experience on my own? We'll see. But I don't know. Everything that I've seen so far has been generally more positive than negative. So that's got to be something. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye. Okay, bye.